Welcome back to Joyfully at Home. Today, as we're nearing the Thanksgiving holiday, we are going to be making an easy recipe for a no-proof dinner roll. I know a lot of people think that making bread is really complicated, but with just a few simple ingredients, you can easily make your own bread. And with this recipe, there's no proofing of your yeast involved. So it makes it really simple. It just have to pay attention to the order that you put your ingredients into your mixer, or if you're not using a mixer, you just pay attention to the order you mix your ingredients by hand. You can do this recipe either way with a mixer, or you can do it by hand. Either is fine. And as I say, it's an easy recipe to make your own homemade dinner rolls for Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, now to start off, we're going to start with our water, first of all, and you can use milk also if you want your dough to be a little bit richer. But the easiest way is to start with water that's approximately 110 degrees, which is warm but not hot. And as long as you put your ingredients in and mix them in this order, there's no proofing required. So from there, we're going to add a teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of oil. You can use any kind you like. You can use coconut oil, you can use vegetable oil, you can even use olive oil. It just depends on what type you like. From that point, we're going to add 4.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And now you'll see in your mixer, your flour is literally sitting on top of your water. Now with your fingers, you just make a small well in your flour and take a tablespoon of sugar. You can sprinkle that around on top of your flour. And now is the key to the no-proof method. You have a tablespoon of active dry yeast, and as long as you know your yeast is fresh, you can take that tablespoon of yeast, put it right in that well, and now we're going to mix everything together all at once. Obviously, if you're using a mixer, you start on slow because you've got a lot of flour in there. You don't want to make a mess where it just explodes out of your mixer. If you're mixing this by hand, you just start mixing it with a wooden spoon until your ingredients start coming into a dough, a soft dough. And we let this go until our flour is becoming incorporated into our dough. And then we'll turn it up a little bit to just knead that dough. If you're doing it by hand, you can hand knead your dough about 20 times. Still very easy to do right on your countertop. Okay, now that your ingredients are basically all incorporated, you're going to see you've got a bit of a shaggy dough. You're going to go ahead and at this point, go ahead and mix on a medium speed for about 5 minutes. This will knead your dough right in your mixer until you have a nice, smooth, elastic dough. If you're doing this by hand, you can take it out of your bowl at this point and go ahead and knead it again about 20 times or so. Now that you have a nice, smooth dough, we'll go ahead, remove our dough from our bowl. And again, if you're hand kneading, this is at this point where you'll shape your dough. Just take your bowl, give it a quick spray of an oil spray, and just roll your dough into a nice ball. Give it a nice shape here, and that way it'll rise evenly. And just pop it right in your bowl. Give it another quick spray on the top, and then cover it, and you can place it in a warm space. Generally, I just set it on the top of the stove with the oven preheated, and we'll preheat our oven to 425 while this is rising, and just cover it with a dish towel or a tea towel until it's double in size. And you'll notice, and when you can push in and make an indent that stays, like you see now, it just doesn't do much. When you can go ahead and push an indent in there and it stays a nice big indent, that's when you're going to know this dough is ready. And you're going to see this dough will double in size. Then we'll be ready to shape our dinner rolls. Okay, now as you take your towel off, you can see that your dough is definitely doubled in size, and you can see how the nice indents stay in your dough, and your dough is ready to shape into your dinner rolls at this point. So all we need to do is roll our dough out, and I like to just kind of like dust it with a little bit of extra flour so we don't have any problems with it sticking to our counter. And I just kind of punch the dough down, and as we're doing that, we kind of roll it into a bit of a log shape. And this is where you can start the process to shape your dinner rolls. And once you have your dinner rolls shaped, you want to put them into a prepared pan. This one's just been sprayed lightly with a little bit of oil spray, and that's all that's necessary. And then you just start cutting your dinner rolls. You'll get approximately 12 to 16, and you'll want your dinner rolls to be about 2 to 2.5 ounces. So you can go ahead and start making little dough balls. And you just start rounding them. You can cut them all at once, or you can round them as you go, which is exactly what I prefer to do. So all you do is you take your dough ball and roll it in between your two hands with your one hand cupped over the ball and your other hand flat. And you continue to roll it until you have a nice perfect dough ball. Then you can just place it in your pan, and this is where we'll continue to do this process with about the same size dough balls. You may have to just take a little extra dough here and there to get them all about the same size. And as I say, if you want them to be perfectly the same size, you can go ahead and you can weigh them, and they'd be between 2 and 2.5 ounces. And you'll just place them in your pan like that with just a little bit of space in between them. And we'll fill up our pan, and we'll set them to rise once more. When you go ahead and set your pan back over on your warm preheated oven, you'll set them on the stove top of that oven to allow them to rise one more time until they're about doubled again. Now that your dinner rolls have gotten through their second rise, you'll see that they're nicely risen and puffed up really nice. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these in, again, our 425-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until the tops are nice and golden brown, and they will be done and ready for your dinner. The only last step that you'll do once they come out of the oven is you'll take and brush the tops with a little melted butter, and that will make them extra special for your dinner.